this episode, I'm going to take you on the first sail of Sea Monkey. This is also the first time I've actually sailed solo in a yacht. I've done lots of solo dinghy sailing, very different when you're sailing on a lake as opposed to out in open water. So this is Bateman's Bay, and Sea Monkey is anchored, or moored rather, right here. To get out of Bateman's Bay, it's not quite accurate here, but you have to head down this channel past the marina, and then you leave the starboard channel marker to port, cut it pretty closely, and then head out over the Bateman's Bay bar. As you can see here, it says here it's 0.3 of a metre, 30 centimetres. It's usually around about a metre over the Bateman's Bay bar there. And once you get over the bar, usually when I start to see the depth increasing, I make a beeline for this point up here, Three Islet Reef. It stands out quite prominently when you're sailing as these orange coloured cliffs off to the east. On this particular day, the wind was blowing from the northwest, so from up in this direction down to here, and I head on roughly a beam reach. I set the sails around about here. This is Snapper Island, and usually around here is a really good spot to set the sails. You've got a bit of depth, and you've got some clearance off these rocks and islands here, and head out towards Maloney's Beach. There's some good anchorages in there, and then on a broad reach off towards the front of the Tollgate Islands here. Great sailing through here, and then turn around, head back into the bay, over the bar, and back to the mooring. So it's really, really great sailing around here. Reasonably sheltered. You get usually you get a little bit of swell from the south, from the southeast or the east, and the prevailing winds around the time I was sailing, which was I think about June, are usually from the northwest, so they blow out of the bay. In summer, you'll get winds predominantly from the northeast or from the southeast, with the occasional southerly buster coming up from the south here. And here we've got the Tasman Sea, so the next stop New Zealand from here, but I didn't quite go that far on this trip. So I hope you enjoy it. There's a few little bits and pieces in there that are quite interesting, I think. I'll show you how they got heaves too, and there's some wildlife that I see along the way. Hope you enjoy it. As I pointed out in the chart, I'm just inside Snapper Island there, and I'm about to set the sails. So what I'm doing here is just getting the head sail to ready to unfurl, putting a couple of wraps around the winch for the Genoa sheet. It's a 120% Genoa, and you can see there it actually unfurls quite nicely, and furls quite nicely as well. That was something that I fixed during that initial refit. And here I am hauling up the main. Now, as you see, what I normally try and do is head into wind just to get the mainsail to luff. The reason for that is at this point I've got some old lazy jacks that aren't particularly well configured, and they cause the battens hang up on them if you haven't got the sail luffing properly. So what I'm doing here is just trying to get the sail to luff. I'm a little bit off the wind here, and so it's causing the main to fill a little bit. It doesn't look like that from here, but it is filling a little bit, and you can see I'll move the tiller. I haven't got an autopilot on at the moment, so I'm just using my legs to move the tiller port and starboard to bring the bow around into the wind there. You can see the head sail starting to luff, and I'll probably ease the main sheet in a moment just to get the sail to come off, the battens to come off those lazy jacks. Normally these days, I mean this is a little while ago now, but when I head out now, I usually have all of the lines tidied up, ready to go, so that I'm not faffing about as I am here. And you can see there the batten hung up on that right at the aft bit of that lazy jack there. So here's the main coming up nicely now. Sailing. First, this is my first solo sail in a yacht, and it's crazy. Man, I'm howling along. I'm like doing, must be at least 12 knots over the ground. What are we looking at? Yeah, thought so. Oh no, 2. Yeah, I'll see, monkey. Look, there's not much breeze about today. I think it's forecast to be about less than 10 knots, probably 8 to 10. That's on predict wind, which is usually not too bad. Willy Weather's another one I use, and then I usually add another 50% for when they don't get it exactly right. So the plan today, I've got probably a couple of hours either side of high tide. High tide is in just under 2 hours, and that's just to give me a bit more room under the keel when I come back in. Bar here's quite shallow. At Bateman's Bay, it's on the charts at lowest astronomical tide. It shows 0.5 of a metre, but they do dredge it, so it gets a bit deeper than that, and they say they dredge it to 2.6. I've got the depth sounder set to, transducer set to water level, and the shallowest I saw it was 3 metres, so that gives me another nearly a metre underneath the keel, and that was 2 hours before high tide. So I know if I go back in no later than 2 hours after high tide, then I'm guaranteed of getting myself over the bar, which is good. I'm on a broad reach at the moment. The wind's coming from the northwest, which is pretty much over that way. So, I've probably got the wind's come up a little bit more now, which is good. Probably closer to 10, 11 knots maybe. So I'm just going to put in a jibe Heading over that way. So you can see me talking here, but the wind is so in the microphone. I need to fix that up at some point by putting like one of those little fluffy things on it. But instead I'll just talk you through what I'm doing here. So I'm heaving two. As you can see, the heady's backed and I'm just easing out the mainsail. That adjusts the angle to which the boat sits to the wind, and then I've pushed the tiller all the way to leeward. What this does is it essentially has the boat sitting around about 30 to 40 degrees off the wind, and it just gently drifts downwind. It's a great way to just sit out a bit of a blow, or to go below and make a cup of tea. It's a very comfortable motion, and it's actually a really good storm tactic to use if you're trying to sit out a gale. One of the reasons I bought the top hat is because it's a full keeler, so the centre of lateral resistance is a lot more forceful than a keel boat, than a fin keel boat, because you've got that full keel. So it's a really nice, comfortable situation to be in when you're trying to sit out a bit of a blow, and quite easy to do. I think a lot of people don't do it so much these days, but it's something that I do quite frequently if I'm just wanting to take a break and haven't got the autopilot to steer me along. So as you can see, I've brought the heady back into wind now, shedding in the main, and heading off to sail back into the bay. So heaving too, great little tactic to use, good storm tactic, great tactic to have a break for lunch, and or make a cup of tea or whatever, and something that I thoroughly recommend, especially if you've got a full keel boat like the top hat. Anyway, you can see here I'm sailing along quite nicely, quite comfortably. There's a little bit of flutter in the main there. I've got to sheet that in a bit, and I'll probably do that at some point.
around about, I don't know, 15 knots maybe. Haven't got a wind meter, so I've got no way of telling, but a few white caps about, so it's probably getting up there. Maybe slightly overpowered, but not too bad. Yeah, she's sailing well. About time to head back now. I've dreamed of this forever. Oh my god.
If you like what you see, click like and subscribe, and don't forget to hit that notification button. Thanks for watching.